Our correspondent in Solai in Kenya, Sarah Kimani. Sarah, good evening to you. I mean, this happened, of course, in Kenya near a reservoir there that was situated on a hill just a few 100 kilometers north of Nairobi. What's the latest?
Well, the latest is that rains have started again in Solai and indeed in most parts of Kenya. That will make recovery and rescue efforts very difficult. A lot of people here will be sleeping out in the cold. They're being sheltered at a church compound. Many of them still looking for their loved ones. The Kenya Red Cross Society is saying it has so far reports of at least 5 people missing. A lot of people still coming through piles and piles of mud. All you can see here is mud. No home is standing, and those that are standing are completely destroyed. It will take time for anybody to ever come back to their homes here. 2 villages completely swept away.
Of course, one of the tragic aspects of this, as far as the search and rescue efforts are concerned, is, as you say, there's lots of mud in the area. A number of bodies found several kilometers away from where it happened, Sarah.
Yes, indeed, and some of them even just as we were leaving, some kids could be seen hanging on trees. But getting into some of these areas to be able to rescue, to be able to recover the remains is a very delicate issue, because there are places where there were toilets, there are places where there were pit latrines, there are places where there were little wells. So anybody trying to venture into the area to try and do recovery efforts is also very careful, because it is all mud, and it would be difficult for one to be able to tell where to step. This afternoon, the Kenya Defence Forces joined in the recovery efforts together with members of the National Youth Service, trying to see if they can be able to speed up the rescue efforts also and recovery, to see if there may be any more survivors left. Also worrying is that residents here are saying there are 2 more dams in the area, and they're worried that if it continues raining, then these 2 could break their banks or break the walls, causing even more disaster or even more damage.
So what are the preparations to deal with that, Sarah, if there are concerns that other nearby dams could also burst?
Yes, indeed. The area where this happened is usually an area where a lot of commercial farming happens. A lot of flowers that you see in supermarkets across the world come from here. And so people, because of the issues of lack of water, farmers here, commercial farmers have dug earthen dams and reservoirs, which during the rainy season fill up. This time, however, the rains have been very heavy and they have filled up completely. And now the worry is, if the rains continue overnight, then those 2 other dams could break their banks. So the government already making arrangements to have families around the area moved away from the dams, near the dams.
Of course, it's a double whammy for the region because, as you pointed out in your report, there have been challenges with a drought situation in that part of Africa. And as soon as the rains came, there would have been some expectations because, of course, agriculture remains a very important sector for the Kenyan economy.
Yes, indeed. And this is not just in Kenya. It goes all the way to Uganda, to Rwanda, and to Somalia. Take, for example, in Rwanda, just this week, 18 people were reported dead in a landslide. In Uganda, bridges have caved in. In Somalia, people have been displaced, and they also reported deaths. In Kenya alone, the Kenya Red Cross Society is saying 158 people have died so far, and about 21,000 acres of food have been destroyed in farms. So, although we were very excited as a region that the rains were finally here and the drought would be behind us, there is now another fear that there's likely to be an outbreak of waterborne diseases, and even a likelihood that there was going to be hunger, because the rain is now too much and it's carrying away foods in farms, and it's also killing a lot of people.
So not only deaths there, but power lines, homes, buildings, a lot of infrastructure has been damaged as a result.
Yes, in one area, in most areas, take for example, in northern Kenya, in parts of western Kenya, schools remain closed. Although pupils went back to school a week ago, schools remain closed because they are completely submerged in water, and there is no way they can go to school. And in the schools that are not submerged in water, then they have been turned into shelters for those people who have been displaced by the rains.
So just to get a sense of what's the latest is then, Sarah, what you're saying is that are we past the point of search and rescue now? We're just really having recovery efforts underway.
The government will not say for certain, but when you speak to a lot of villagers here, all they're saying is it is unlikely that any more people will be found alive, considering the impact of that breakage of the dams, and also considering the time that has passed since the accident happened or the tragedy struck, and also the fact that the mud and the villages that have been swept, anybody who is alive, then it will be a miracle, because the amount of mud and silt and sand on top here is too much.
All right, that's of course our Sarah Kimani there on the line from Kenya. And of course, as she says there, Kenya is one of the largest suppliers of flowers to the European market, and a huge part of their agricultural sector there has been affected. We'll give you more updates as the story develops.